Welcome to the You Don't Know What You Don't Know podcast by Innovative Business Advisors. Successful business owners who have started, grown, and led businesses share their journey and direction for the benefit of those traveling the same path.
I'm pleased to have with me today Richard Terry of Accolade Kitchen Bath. Richard's the owner, principal designer. He's had the business for over 15 years, and Richard is known for serving his clients so well that they become his friends and the source of all of his repeat business and referrals. So, quick question, is your home a sanctuary that reflects your personality? You deserve a kitchen, bath, or storage area that functions effectively. And Richard partners with homeowners in St. Louis, West County to design luxurious and family-friendly solutions for that. So Richard, honored to have you today.
Well, it's nice to be here.
Yeah, tell me, how'd you first get into this business? What drove you to get into this business?
Well, in my former life, I built swimming pools and spas in Key Largo, Florida for 28 years.
Paradise.
Yes, paradise. And then our kids were born in Baptist Hospital in Miami. And in the early 90s, policemen were patrolling the grade schools for drugs. So we moved to St. Louis. Then I commuted for 14 years.
Back and forth to
Key Largo.
Wow.
Yeah. And then 2002, I sold my business and was looking for opportunities up here. And I came across a cabinet company out in St. Clair, Missouri, and family-owned little mom and pop business, and was going to buy that. I interviewed all their employees, and we were ready to sign on the dotted line. And they had about $200,000 worth of business that was going through some stage of production. And so I asked them, I said, let me know how much you got in there for materials, labor, and your profit. And we'll work out a system to, divvy up what's in the offer. Well, they came back a day later and said, we can't do that. And I said, why? And they said, because sometimes we don't know what our costs are until we get the invoice from the vendor. Now, being a small mom and pop business, that scared the crap out of me.
Yeah.
I figured what other landmines I'm going to find. So I bailed out of that. I went to work for a small kitchen and bath company at an office in St. Louis and one over in Illinois, just across the river.
Okay.
And I worked for them for about a year and a half, and they went broke. And so then I started this business. And so I had a partner for a while as the designer. And so in 2006, we started this business, and she left me about in 2008 when the crash hit, because there wasn't enough business for let alone me, other than trying to support both of us. So, and I struggled through that, and finally, the rest is what they call history. So,
Wow. Well, going from outside, doing pools outside in Key Largo, paradise, right, to doing kitchens and bath on the inside in wonderful St. Louis, that's quite a transition in and of itself. Was it just the cabinet company that originally attracted you to it, or
no? I was looking. I had a business broker. I was trying to find new business.
Okay.
We went from all sorts of things. And, I didn't want retail. And so I was looking for something that I could manage and that was reasonable price wise that I could afford. So,
Yeah. Awesome. Yeah. So you're the accidental business startup guy.
Yes,
you were
that's
looking
right.
You were looking to get into it by buying something, right?
Yeah.
So startup's a lot different than buying an existing business.
Yes, it is. Well, I started my pool business from scratch. So when you start out, you almost do anything to get the business or get some business and get it going. So with this, it wasn't a whole lot different, but we did a lot of jobs that I probably wouldn't take now. But you do what you got to do to get it going.
It's fascinating when you think about that, I think every business is a little bit of a journey. Somebody that starts with an idea and they end up doing that business exactly, probably they don't last very long. You got to be willing to pivot at some point. Right?
Well, the biggest, I'm going to say, not shock, but eye opener was the fact that in my pool business, I had recurring revenue. We had monthly service. We did 450 pools a week, and we built about 30 pools a year. So it was generating a nice income.
Wonderful business.
And with this business, if I didn't kill, I wouldn't eat. So
there is no recurring.
So there is no recurring. Although now I get recurring from my previous clients. They decided, they did their kitchen, now they want to do their bathroom. But other than that, no, it was tough.
Yeah, we were talking a little bit about that off camera in terms of building value in your business, right? And that really people don't. If you have a business with recurring revenue, I mean, there's a substantial amount of value that's already there. But you do have to look at your referral sources, and if you've got a relationship with your client base where you've got continual referrals from them, that is a source of referral, or recurring revenue. Right? Because you can, one job begets another job begets another job. Yeah, that's fascinating. When you originally got into the kitchen and bath side, you said you started working for somebody else, and then that kind of led you guys to start your own business, right? What were some of the early challenges you had in that business?
Well, first of all, learning a whole new different industry.
Yeah,
we had a gal that was a CAD. She did all our 2020, which is a CAD version, to be able to do perspectives and blueprints and stuff. And I tried to do it, and it's just beyond me. So that was probably my biggest challenge. I can do a floor plan, love to do it, 2 dimensions. But when you get a layer upon layer upon layer, it's just a little beyond me. So there were some of our challenges. I mean, and then going through 08, where we had the, we started our business in 06. So 08 was a tough business, a couple of years to just struggle to get through, and lived on credit cards.
And keep the business open. Right?
The only thing that kept me going was the fact that I knew if I could get through this, I'd be okay.
Yeah.
And I did. So it's just believing in yourself.
Yeah, believing in yourself, and you had a little bit of advantage of having probably been through some recessions before in the pool business, right?
Yeah.
So
Sometimes
you just tighten up and tie a knot and hang on. Yeah, we're the same way. I mean, we had to pivot completely in 08, 09 to keep the business afloat as well. It was a challenging time. Yeah. We've had so many good years. A lot of people have forgotten that.
Yes.
The pandemic.
Well, you take it for granted, or if they weren't around when we had the bad years. Just this is just wonderful.
Yeah.
So yeah.
In your industry, there are a lot of people that profess to do what you do. And we probably all, as homeowners, get in the mail. We get these little postcards, and we get these little sale flyers that come in all the time with various companies. What distinguishes Accolade Kitchen and Bath from others in the market? What makes you guys different and better than anybody else?
Well, I'm going to say probably 3 things. One is when we finish a kitchen or a bathroom, most of our clients become friends.
Yeah.
And our industry is probably the #1 complaint industry for the Better Business Bureau. So if we can do that, we must be doing something. I had a birthday party. We had 60 people that showed up. 40 of them were clients.
That's really cool.
So that's one thing. I mean, we're in their home for 6 to 8 weeks, and we're there in the morning, and I check the jobs every day, sometimes twice a day. So and then we have what we call concierge shopping service. I take my clients to the slab shop, and we'll pick out the granite of the boards for the countertops.
Yeah.
We'll go to the plumbing wholesale, and we'll pick out toilets and faucets and shower heads. We'll go to the tile shop and pick out tile together. So it gives me more bonding time with my clients as well. And they realize that, I'm a human being as well. And, we just bond. And so that's kind of how it works for me.
So that's the one thing. That's critical. Yeah.
And then
that's a
the
big
concierge service was the second thing. And then the third thing is that I visit the jobs every day. So I am on the job every day. I meet every delivery. I can't tell you how many companies I know where they call and they say, well, the cabinets are going to be delivered Tuesday, and I'll be there Wednesday to start working. They don't even, I meet every delivery to the home and make sure it's right, first of all. And so those are the 3 things that I think that I do. The customer service of just bending over backwards for my client isn't done out there, or at least everybody is.
Yeah, it is. That is a big difference, because you're right. I mean, most people, I can't tell you how many. I think we went through 3 painters in our existing house, and now we got this number. The last painter we found was really good, and we got his number, and we refer them to everybody we know, and by God, if we ever have our house painted again, which I'm sure will happen, he'll be the guy.
Okay. We need a painter in our B&I group, so if you want to give me his number.
Oh, painters are hard guys to
the trades are
tie
tough.
down.
I mean, either we have a lunch meeting, and so and for me it works fine because I check jobs in the morning. I go have lunch and got to eat lunch anywhere. So you might as well. We have it catered by Valenti's. It's an awesome place.
Yeah.
But it's it just works. That's all I can say. It's just nice to be able to do that. So
yeah. So as you were first starting the business, I mean, outside of the recession, what were some of the challenges and successes? And give us a little sense of, what started you on your journey, and did that change over time? I mean, you've been in it 15 years now. So do your challenges and your successes, have they changed over time?
Yeah, they have changed. In the beginning, like I said earlier, it was an eye-opener to me that if I didn't kill, I didn't eat. And so there was no recurring income. So I had to sell all the time. And, then I had to, get the subcontractors there and, order the materials, make sure that it was right. And the time lag, their time frames are coexisting so we can get it over there. So that was probably the most challenging thing in the beginning. And then just getting the word out, finding new clients. I belong to Service Magic, which now changed hands about 3 times, which was a company, and I paid them $50 for a lead. And it was, so I did that, and I gave them about $450 budget per month. And that's what got me started. Got some nice jobs. Now, some of them were crap. And I didn't get them because what they ended up doing is they said they only sent it out to 3 people. But the key is you got to call right away once you get it and make the appointment, and then hopefully you'll get the business. But there's getting other people, getting other bids. So this one time the guy says, "Well, I've already had 4 people come, so I really don't need you." So then I realized that Service Magic was screwing us, saying they only gave it to 3 people. And so, but they did, 1 out of 10. So, I spent $500 to get a $25,000 kitchen. Wasn't a bad trade-off.
No,
So
pretty good cost of acquisition.
yeah, so that was how I started, and then eventually I got into B&I 15 years ago. It's a good way to, and I realized that people don't do or need what I have every day. So if I got 1 or 2 deals a year, it paid for my dues. Plus, all the people in B&I became a resource for my clients. They go, "Hey, do you know a plumber? Do you know a painter? Do you know an electrician? You know, an IT guy,
Pest control guy,
whatever the case may be." I had somebody so I became a resource for them. And so that's how I built my clientele and built my clients that way.
Well, it sounds like you had to do 2 things. First off, you had to kind of figure out what the marketing side was, and you developed a process whereby you had people that were out marketing for you as well. So you were buying key leads, and then you were going through and fulfilling this. And then the second thing, what I heard you say, is that you kind of had to develop a process around all of your vendors as well, right? How do you get things ordered? Who can you rely on? All that stuff. So as you've gotten, as the years have gone by, I would imagine you probably got those processes pretty well laid down.
Yes, I do have a process, and it works very well. The thing that throws a wrench into the works is when you have supply chain problems like we have now. My cabinetry, I used to get 6 to 8 weeks. Now we're 12 to 15 weeks out. Some of the plumbing wholesalers used to be 3 to 4 weeks. Now they're 6 to 12 weeks. Appliances. Tom Ruich's kitchen, we had to wait 7 months to get appliances for him. So it's crazy. I mean, that's what we're dealing with today.
Is that, in your 15 years, is that a new problem today? Is that unique, or have there been times in the past where you've had to face that?
I think it's unique. In 15 years that I've been in business, and even the 18-year I've been in the swimming pool industry, we wanted something, we called, it got delivered. I mean, there was no problem. Everything was either in stock, or we had to wait a week, 2 weeks. I mean, there's nothing like 7 months.
Yeah, it really is an unusual situation. I think so too. I'm hearing that as well. It's a unique challenge, but that's what we do as business owners, right? We figure out what we got to do.
And when it's beyond your control, you're kind of limited in what you really can do. I mean, you can ask them to make another selection or whatever. Some do, and some say no, I'm staying the course. So
yeah,
we do in a bathroom now, and we just found out the freestanding tub is 120 days out.
Holy cow!
And I'm working with an interior designer, and I said, "What do you want to do?" She says, "I don't want to change anything because then I'd have to change the sink design, the faucet design, and all that because it all went together." And so they're just willing to wait. So this is a kind of unusual situation because she lives in St. Albans. She bought a house. I guess it's Chesterfield. Yeah. She isn't going to move in until everything's done.
So now you probably got her realtors and everybody else counting on you too. Huh?
Well, she owns both homes.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
And we redid her kitchen. It's 90% finished. We're waiting for the countertops, so we can do the backsplash. But
yeah,
that's an unusual situation all over. I think most of the time the homeowner's there and they want to know when they're going to finish the job and all that stuff.
Living in the construction, right?
Yeah.
Living in the construction. Yeah. And that's a challenge in and of itself. That's probably why there's so many complaints in your industry.
Yeah. Well, you have to manage their expectations. And we had a gentleman that was a client, and we did his full gut of his kitchen, kind of a half gut of the master bath and the guest bath. And we were, he was one of the first guys I signed a contract with 17 weeks, knowing that the cabinets wouldn't be there until 17 weeks. Mm. So he waited from, I don't know, whatever that sign period was. I can't remember the dates. But
Months.
Waited months. And so it's finally there, and we're doing the kitchen, and we're into about 6 weeks. And he's calling me. He's going, no. And meanwhile, in 6 weeks, we installed the vanity in the guest bathroom, had it templated for a countertop. We installed the vanity in the master bath, had the countertop on, the mirrors done. So basically what we were supposed to do was completed. Kitchen is about 3/4 of the way finished. And he's going, when are you going to finish this? And he was a little abrupt over the phone and whatever. So the next day when I was over there, I got a chance to see him. And I said, look, I apologize. I did not manage your expectations. I said, initially, I told that your kitchen would take 6 to 8 weeks. We're in the 6th week right now. We've already completed your master bathroom. We've already 75% completed your guest bathroom. And 75% finished in the kitchen. And I said, we did that in 6 weeks, where normally a kitchen would be 6 to 8 weeks. So he kind of cooled down and realized that he understood, let's put it that way. Okay. So those are the things we got to deal with. And so that's where, you just got to manage their expectations, let them know what's going to happen, communicating every day and saying, hey, we're not going to get this material to such and such a date, either. We had one job where they sent totally different color cabinet. It was from somebody else's job. And then it took 3 weeks to get the other cabinet back.
Mistakes happen.
Yeah. So,
yeah. I think that's so key. I'd really love to have you speak more to that. I think I see that a lot in that, particularly in our business, when somebody buys a business, right? And they think they come into it with a particular superpower, and they figure out that they may have missed something. So, for example, in let me see if I can make this relevant to your business. They may understand construction work and how to actually build kitchens and baths, but to come in and have an underappreciation for the fact that you might be a technical expert and I might be able to build you whatever you want, but that to have to be a psychologist and manage the expectation of the client and deal with all the problems that come about. The owner's role is different, isn't it?
Yes, absolutely. And that's why you're way ahead of the game. If you're ahead, you're not playing catch up. He's complaining, so you react.
Yeah.
And so it's saying, hey, this is what's going to happen today. This isn't going to happen because of this, and this. So if you do that, it's just a lot better.
It's not always easy to deliver bad news when you've got supply chain issues.
No, it's not. I've had two regular ones. And, you know, the one was clients. We signed a contract in December of 2020. Clients is 7 months out that he ordered, and he was willing to wait. And had another gal that's really funny. She was willing to pay a 10% upcharge to save 4 weeks in her cabinetry now. So, yeah, supply chain issues really can be a problem. You know, you just got to learn to deal with it.
Yeah, and in many regards, you know, I'm sure there are sometimes where you have alternatives and sometimes where you don't.
Yes. Just sometimes people want to change their mind, and other times they say, no, this is what I want. I'm willing to wait. Their choice.
Yeah. So you've been doing this successfully for 15 years, right?
Yes.
It's your second business.
Yes.
You've had second success. Haven't had, you know, any areas where you failed in business, or do you have any that you feel where maybe I tried this and it didn't work, either in your existing business or in a different business?
Well, I can't think of anything I fail. I mean, the only time you fail is when you stop trying.
Exactly.
So, you know, are there things I probably could have done better? Sure. But, you know, sometimes you learn things the hard way, but you never forget them. So,
Were the things you tried in the kitchen and bath business that didn't work for you that you had to quit doing or change? Anything come to mind that you think of?
You know, I think trying to get, you know, inexpensive stuff for people to try to meet their budgets. And I've learned over the time that sometimes it's not impossible, but I know that it's not something I want to put my name on when I'm finished either. So those are the ones that I just say, I don't think it's a good fit. And I've learned to do that. Initially, no, I would have taken anybody that could fog up a mirror, you know, says, hey, I want you to do something for me. But I've learned that it saves them time, it saves me time, and just being honest with people. And that's what I've done now with this COVID stuff. It's just with the time, but the time constraints or materials and stuff. You just got to say, hey, this is what's happening beyond my control.
Yeah, I can imagine, and I imagine that people don't really have an understanding of what the costs are to do what you do either. I mean, they may say, I know what it would cost me to buy a sink at Lowe's or whatever, but you know,
some do, and you know, depending on what fields they're in, industries, et cetera. And most of my clients have just been super nice, and you know, they're a pleasure to do business.
Yeah, awesome. Well, as you think about, you've been doing this 15 years, right? You told me earlier you're at some point in the future you're going to transition your business. What's your thought process? Have you given much thought to how you potentially would either hand over or exit your business?
Very little, to be honest. You know, I don't have any family members that I could leave it to, and my father was an entrepreneur, so that's kind of how I was brought up. He just said, I don't care if you own your own gas station, just be your own boss. And that was our mantra in the Terry family. But
great advice.
But as far as, you know, I wonder what I have to offer to sell now in my full business. You know, I have recurring income and, you know, income that was there. My business now, it's goodwill, you know, probably a client base and a vendor base, and, you know, wonder how much that's worth. So, but I haven't really, to be honest with you, so to answer your question.
But your phone does ring. I mean, you're getting a lot of referrals now. I'm sure you're probably still spending some money on marketing and outreach to.
Yes. Just to be out there.
Yeah.
But most of our stuff is warm referrals. They're clients that, you know, we did their master bathroom, now they want their kitchen done.
Yeah.
Or we did their hall bath, and now they want their master bath done. So
That's pretty amazing in and of itself. So you have a history of doing multiple jobs for the same people.
yes.
Yeah.
One job that we finished we did his master bathroom so he could sell his house. Sold his house, and moved into this bigger house, and then he had this huge kitchen that we did for him. So, you know, it's kind of nice to roll from one to the other.
Yeah, that is nice. That is nice. So yeah, that's there's definitely a huge amount of value in that. I mean, that's particularly in the contractor world, right? As you mentioned, it's the number one industry of consumer complaints, and Better Business Bureaus are made for contractors. I guess in many regards, right?
I think so. Yes.
But if you've got it, so if you have a good reputation in that field where you've got a lot of referral business, you've got an unusually valuable entity in that regard, because the skill sets are the skill sets, right? Installing cabinets, installing cabinets.
Right.
It's all the other things that add value that are very, very difficult to duplicate. Yeah. Well, it's good. I think, as you begin to think about that, I mean, we work with business owners all the time. Generally speaking, a well-planned exit is something that takes a lot of time. So you do have to begin to think about that. And I think in a situation like yours, where you've got some unusual assets in your company, there's some value there that is enduring. So it very much like your pool business, where you had recurring revenue because you had people that needed to get their pool skimmed and cleaned every week. You've got a phone that rings every day now with clients that have a level of expectation and a desire to get things done, from quality contractors, and you've built that reputation.
I hadn't really thought of it from that perspective, but that does make sense.
Yeah. And it's a process, just takes time. I mean, there's no one definitive answer in terms of how to exit to. You got multiple paths. Well, really cool. Well, it's outstanding work that you do to the community. I know you're an outstanding member of E4E. I know you've got a huge giver's heart. You always bring the goods in terms of some things that can add value to all of our businesses. We just heard from you this past Wednesday, where you talked about how to make lemonade, which I thought was really fascinating and such great advice for other business owners.
Well, I got to give Cynthia credit for that. She was the one that came up with that mantra, but it pulled off very well, so I was glad.
Well, there's another entrepreneur that's out there helping all the time as well.
Absolutely.
So we'll hear from Cynthia at some point in the future. Well, awesome. Well, Richard, it's an honor to know you. Thank you very much for spending time with us. Any particular advice that you would have for people that are just starting out on the path of opening a business and moving into entrepreneurship of their own?
Well, first I'd say do something that you love to do, because then it's not work.
Yeah.
And then just never give up. I mean, there are times when you say, hey, I can't make payroll, I can't do whatever, and you wake up the next day and sometimes you'll find a way to do it. So just never give up.
Thank you for listening to the You Don't Know What You Don't Know podcast. We invite you to visit www.youdon'tknowwhatyoudon'tknow.com and sign up to receive updates on upcoming episodes. You can also let us know if you'd like to be a guest or recommend a business owner to be interviewed. Find us on LinkedIn, Facebook, and YouTube, where you can like, follow, share, and join our efforts. Thanks for listening. We hope you join us again.